Oh, yeah, we got that. Oh, yeah, I think, tips off. On these people.
surface water doesn't get messed with, or maybe more wastewater gets added to. Again, this has been historically the case here many times. But the canal's leaking. Is there any serious discussion about treating this?
Sorry, Mike.
Not a good comment.
Or any reasonable expectation that we might entertain the notion that the canals should be put in pipes.
Thank you, Michael. Any other public comment on agenda items? Yes, sir. Yes, please. You have to come up to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Name's Chris Goff. Been Echo for 26 years. I've been in the big cities. I see what happens in the big cities. You're seeing it in Portland right now. This is what you people are bringing to this town. If Tammy has a conflict of interest with what's going on in this town, how many other people's on this panel has a conflict of interest? That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Okay, any other, let's please keep it to agenda items only. There's open public comment at the end of the meeting. So any other comments on agenda items? That's all right. Yes, Vicente.
Evening, my name is Vicente Escalante. I live at 310 North Bilson Street. The agenda item I just had a couple questions in regards to is that was added is 13.5. I believe it's the hiring process, correct? Or the
Yes.
yes. My first question is for the council for the hiring process. The question is, when applicants apply for a position for within the city, who is it? The council that decides like which individuals are, chosen for an interview or that would be the best candidate. Just kind of curious if it's, if it's a group decision, right? Because it is council, so it makes sense that every council member plays a role in who they want to see as an interviewee. And so that's my first question. My second question is, when I was in the military, about 10 years, active duty Air Force, anytime we had a member of leadership that, unfortunately resigned, they were rarely, if ever, put in a position to choose their successor. And just kind of doing research, I'm just kind of curious on if you could explain it. If someone is resigning from a position, it seems like there could be the perception could be kind of biased of letting that person choose who's coming in. It doesn't seem, I don't really ever hear that very often happening, like in major companies, small companies. If a CEO resigns, right, they're usually not in a position of helping choose who's going to take over, right? It's usually done by the committee, the council of some sort. So I'm just kind of curious if why that is in the city's case. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Vicente. Okay, anybody else have comment on agenda items? Okay, then we'll move on to The regular meeting minutes. Anybody have any discussion on?
I had one change. that I
Okay.
wanted. Is it on, or are we just doing all of them right now, or just one?
Well, we can do them separately, we can do them all together. We've typically done it.
What do you want us to do, Dave? Do you want us to wait? Because mine's on that.
It's not my decision, sorry. You guys,
Yours on the land use?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's do the regular meeting minutes. It's just have, we can make a motion to approve, both of them. Let's tackle.
Sure. Okay.
So regular meeting minutes, anything needs to be fixed, changed, added, subtracted, spell checked. Okay, seeing as there is none, then we'll move to the land use hearing minutes, and then we can.
you also have the 23rd as well.
We have
Work session.
Oh, yeah, we have the work session too. So maybe we should just do them three, all set. Yeah. Okay, so then I'll entertain a motion for the regular meeting minutes then.
I'll second.
So Richard has made a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from September 9th, 2025. Berlin has seconded. Richard, your vote? Berlin, your vote?
Yes.
Tammy, your vote?
Yes.
Janie, your vote?
Yes.
Jesse, your vote?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay. Now we're on to the land use meeting minutes, all right? Just three. Okay, discussion changes, Tammy?
Yes, so there was a comment here that, I don't know, maybe I said the wrong word, or I was on Zoom for this meeting, or maybe you couldn't hear it clearly, but this is, I would never say this way unless I was having a moment with a word. So I would ask you to please respectfully change this word. She went on to say that the city of Echo cannot use water from Stanfield's well, even though we are hooked up. It was Stanfield's wastewater sewer system. So maybe I mixed up the word, but it is not Stanfield's well. It is Stanfield's wastewater sewer system. Thank you.
What page is that on, Tammy?
Pay the third page. And it's about the first paragraph, the end of the first paragraph. Thank you. I just hope I said it right this time.
Well, okay.
Is that what the recording shows, Dave, or what's the?
I don't know what to call it, saying it was all, that whole conversation and the whole page is about water, but except for when I asked about wastewater, when we had a disagreement. But if you want to change it to that, I mean, you guys have to vote on it, so it's not my call. Good.
The minutes should accurately reflect.
Agreed.
Said. Recording all this, I guess. We can fix it if that's necessary.
I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other discussion on land use hearing minutes? Okay.
Are we just waiting for the recording up?
So we can wait till next month to approve the minutes.
Up to you guys. If that's what you want to do, we can push it up to the November meeting on the 18th.
That way we have a chance to double check the recording.
If that's what you wish. That's
May I say something for the record? If it was, that it was a misspoke, because I would not intentionally say that. I misspoke because we had a lot of conversation. So I just want that for the record.
that down.
Okay.
And it's on all the recording.
Then we will move on to the work session minutes. Any discussion, changes to the work session minutes?
Motion to approve, the work session minutes from September 23rd.
Second.
Okay, Berlin made a, motion to approve the work session minutes from September 23rd, 2025. Richard seconded. Maria, your vote?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Janie?
Yes.
Pam?
Yes,
Yes.
Richard? Okay, motion carries. Okay, Chief Zumwalt, hello, welcome. You're up.
My writing.
We pulled less people over, so the little radar gun or radar sign might be working. Maybe. Yeah, good. Thank you. You bet. Anything else for the chief? All right. Thank you, Brian. All right, Public Works, Scott.
Submitted in writing, and also I think Dave has a little more, in depth on our, committee meetings we did on the traffic safety around the school. And, I couldn't remember what all we had. Dave's got the minutes, and so, probably in your packets, or
Do you want to go through that?
During the committees, unless you want to do it now.
You can do it either place.
Your call.
Since we're on it, we can do it now. That's fine with me if you want. Scott's got the floor, so.
I didn't mean to sandbag Dave.
Sure you did.
I threw it in my report, but I didn't have all the information.
It doesn't matter to me. I could care one way or the other, it doesn't matter. So,
Yeah, if you want me to do it, that's fine.
Yeah, because I don't have it with.
Well, and Janie and Phyllis can correct me if I'm wrong. So we had our last committee meeting and discussed the safety around the school, and the committee unanimously agreed on moving forward, having a blinking flashing light put on the speed/school zone sign on Jerome in front of McFarland's, put the trees back, clean that all up, get that to slow traffic down as they come across the ditch. Then as you come in down Jerome towards the school, you have the crosswalk, putting on flashing lights on that. The school is going to put the eco blocks, those concrete blocks that he's used all over the school. He's gonna put some in front of the gate, of the big car gate in front of the football field, bring those out and bringing it at an angle down along the road, out of the road right away, so it doesn't get, people don't hit them. So it opens that up for pedestrian traffic, especially at night, and will allow for that. Scott has been working with PP&L to get some more street lights on Jerome that hopefully they will put them in, and then we just add them to the power bill. But they will put that to light that up, because we all agreed that at night with the new football lights, they're designed to be on the football field, and with the trees so big, it casts a horribly bad shadow on the street and you can't see kids crossing, and it's very unsafe. So to light that up with street lights and to have those K blocks there, or those eco blocks there, excuse me. as you work your way down Jerome, you hang a right coming north on Thielsen. We talked about putting a crosswalk, a new crosswalk in down at Buckley and intersection of Buckley, Thielsen there to bring kids out of the development, off of Buckley and Prescott there and bring them across, put a flashing light there. And then take the speed zone, school zone sign, which is just right there, move it down north to Bridge and Thielsen and push that back so it opens up the school zone another block to slow traffic down before they get to that crosswalk with a flashing light. All the flashing lights will be solar. And we will use the forgive me, what the heck is that stuff for the sidewalk, the crosswalk? The thermal plastic, which is basically like little mini speed bumps. If you drive across sidewalks or crosswalks in the big cities and even in Stanfield, you hit them and you feel a bump. Well, that's a thermal plastic that they melt down on the road instead of paint. And so it lasts longer and it works better. So put that on as a crosswalk. The school is also offered to pay for a percentage of this. They didn't give a percentage, but Raymond said that he has safety money available, so the city wouldn't be on the hook for all the flashing lights and all of this and the sign increases in the thermal plastic. So we could work out the logistics on that if the council liked that plan. And that was kind of where we left it. Everybody agreed that that would help with the traffic flow that Raymond has already done at the school district with the pickup and drop off areas that they've made with these little drive-throughs. And I have grandkids there. I pick them up after school sometimes, but I haven't been there to drop them off in the morning when it's crazy busy, but I've heard that it's better. I've seen that it's better just by driving by from the golf course in the morning. So that will hopefully give us, kind of bring us up to modern safety standards in a school zone and not get too carried away with radar speed things and stuff like that for right now. That was what the committee all agreed on. Did I forget anything, Janie?
I'm not sure, are we still talking about closing the big gate and making a man gate?
No,
We talked about that.
They decided not to do that with the eco blocks to block, let's leave the big gate open.
That was mostly people parking there during the day.
Right,
Yes.
24/7, and then bollards around the fire hydrants.
Yes.
Fire hydrant, putting bollards, the city will put 4 bollards, which is those concrete deals in the ground or metal. We can put some bumpers on them to keep people from blocking the fire hydrant, which they do quite regularly. So did I forget anything?
I think the school was saying that possibly the area they purchased from Kyle Snow, that for now they would use that for parking for the. ball game.
Eventually, when they get their development, they gotta come to the city and propose their development. They haven't done that yet, so,
I think he said by next spring
right.
or next fall,
Next year.
by this time next year.
Yes, before school starts next year, because they have to come to the city council and go through that whole process to get a parking lot approved and utilities and whatever else they're doing, which,
I think that's about all.
yeah, so that's pretty much it. We're not doing,
Well, but she's on.
oh, that's right. Go.
How many members do you speak?
On the road. Slow school zone and have an increase on the road.
I don't,
That was part
I
of
don't.
We did have that conversation, but it didn't ever get this, we didn't vote on that. at the
Oh,
end.
So it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I have a question. Was there any discussion about ways of reducing the traffic? For instance, I know of one school district in Eastern Oregon that has a bus that runs to collect kids from out of district. And I was wondering whether or not the city could encourage the school to run a bus. I don't know where all those kids come from, but I'm assuming it's from north of here, and pick them up, or perhaps organizing parental carpools. So I met the stream of traffic the other day that was after school was out, and I thought, you know, maybe, something could be done to reduce the traffic as well as controlling it. I like what's been said, that's great.
You should come to our next meeting.
Dave, there was one. Extending the no parking signage further down Thielsen.
Oh, yeah, further down Thielsen. That was in the minutes too. To move it down Thielsen to, we're not blocking
Houses.
those driveways and houses going down, out, going south out of town. Because there's already an ordinance in place that has no parking on Thielsen as it is.
So yeah, that was part of it.
Raise my vote for that.
So, okay, anything else from the budget committee, or not budget committee, what am I? Oh, the traffic.
Yeah. I thought that was it, we just talked.
Okay, well, very good, and so we're waiting on the school then to kind of come up with how much money and all that. before we-
Yeah, we're talking about that. We haven't really talked about it. There's been a lot going on, so there.
Yeah, he's gotta take it to his. Yeah. Anyway, that's where we're at. Some good work.
I don't think there's any more meetings scheduled, and so at this point with the committee, because they voted, they felt like they did what they were tasked to do at this
I think
point.
so. We just need to come up with costs and effort and put that all ready. for the council.
Mhm. Yep.
That's the next step. All right, anything else on, Public Works? Looks like the water phase 3 is gonna need to go out to bid next month.
Yeah, we were thinking in
We got our water
November.
guys here, so.
Yeah, we were hoping in November, right, Dave? There you go. He's nodding his head.
Wonderful. Okay.
We have to go through some price adjustments because things have gotten more expensive, so we have to make some hard decisions before we get that to you.
Okay. I saw a little asphalt getting moved today. Very good. Okay, anything else for Public Works? Okay. And I'm here, golf course.
So September was a really good month as well, but we are definitely going into fall, so right around the corner. Revenue was up 37% over last year, which is always good. Great weather, beautiful course and events attributed to that. So we have a couple of events coming up. I hope you all saw my Blow Golf Scramble. We're gonna do 2 of those this Saturday, October 18th and the 25th. It's $40 a person and it includes 9 holes and a blow ball. I'll have more available for sale if you.
That's good.
Yeah, so I put in a funding request to the Echo Quarterback Club and they came back and they helped supported my cause. And so I'm really thankful for them. And so that'll be again this Saturday and next Saturday. So if you see people up there and see glowing things, just be aware. We also are doing a mulligan tournament on Sunday, November 16th. And then in December, we're gonna do an ugly sweater scramble on the 6th. Winter hours and rates will go into effect starting Saturday, November 1st, which is just right around the corner. So it's kind of just slowing down for the season, but it's business as usual. And I'm hoping just to stay open as much as I can, weather dependent. Yeah, yeah, like knock on wood. I'm not ready for fall and winter, but the leaves are definitely starting to fall. So that's a challenge.
All right. Wonderful. Good news, good numbers,
Thank you. Yes.
good job.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm trying to keep things up for October, but it is definitely coming to a, not a screeching halt, but slow halt. So, yeah, it's cold.
Yeah. All right, anything else for Bonnie? Okay, then we move on to committee updates. We already got the budget / traffic safety committee. taken care of. So the art committee has no update. I have not had time to work on any of that. So, trail committee,
No.
nothing,
Mhm.
nothing from trail committee. Okay. And we will move on to our guests tonight. Anderson and Perry. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you.
Keep sending everybody else down.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
don't let me out much anymore, Chad.
right.
Just kidding. No, it's good to be here. I'm Brad here with Henderson Perry. Dane Maven here, obviously, that you've been seeing quite a bit. And we came tonight to just give you some facts on your water and wastewater system. I understand there's questions relative to system capacity, so we have some information to pass out to you to hopefully give you some clarification on what capacity is available in those systems. I came because I have a much longer history with Echo than Dane does. I've been here since, actually, I was gonna look it up and I forgot, a long, long time ago. But I've been working with Dave since day one, since his tenure here. And I wrote your master plan, been involved for a very long time. So I'm helping Dane with pulling some of this information together and presenting it for the history. So we have handouts, so you'll have a written handout of what we're going to talk about tonight, and then Dave will email that stuff to you, so you have a PDF of everything. So with that, Dave, if you don't mind passing out, we'll pass out as we go. We'll start with the water system and then get to the wastewater system. I think it's important to note too, just for clarity for tonight, as your city engineer, we don't, if there's a disagreement on capacity of the system or what the plan is for Echo or anything of that nature, we're just here to respond to what you want and what your needs are. So we don't really have a dog in the fight for any kind of discussion about should we grow or not. We don't have a position. We're just here to tell you what your wells produce and what the capacity are, things of that nature. Just want to make sure we're clear there. So the handout that Dean gave you, there's a 2-pager, all the water's on the first page, and he'll pass out a couple things as we go to, he's got a map of the system, or did you already pass it out? Good, yeah. And then there's also some well use that we'll show you here in a minute when we get to it. But so your water system capacity, first we'll talk about the storage, and then we'll talk about distribution and the supply. So if you look at this figure that Dane passed out, the one that I got to use some highlighters today. So it's this one.
We enjoy it.
Yeah, it helps. The visuals are good. So this is a elevation display of your water system. This was presented in the plans for one of your first phases of the water system improvements. The key, just so you know how the system works, obviously your old tank and the new tank are at the exact same full elevation. So they serve town together. The blue that's shown on here, if you look in the middle of the top of the sheet, that's wells 4 and 5. They pump into a line that fills the golf course reservoir. So they pump directly into the tank. On the left-hand side is the new tank, and you can see the connection to Stanfield. That's the other blue line that can pump to fill that tank from that side. The green lines are the transmission lines. You know, they run from the reservoirs down into town. And that grid down there at the bottom is your piping all in town where everybody gets served. So with this layout, obviously the city has the means of serving town now. 2 tanks in 2 directions, and has added an additional supply with Stanfield option in case you need it. So these are all items we discussed way back when the master plan was prepared and talked about how your system needed some redundancy and reliability. So very wise of the council to make the decision to do these projects.
Your system is much more secure now than it was relative to additional water supply, more than doubled your storage. And with transmission lines coming from two directions, your fire department's extremely happy, and you have much better fire flows in town. So that's generally how your water system works. And just wanted to give a quick overview of that before we get into some details. But are there any questions about how the system works before we get into the details on some of the components real quick? Again, it's much better now than it was, so it's wise of you to do these improvements. So if you go back to the paper handout, we'll go through each component real quick, and we'll try to hustle through this with your long agenda. Your storage system, water reservoirs are set up for 4 components: fire, emergency, optimization, and I think I already said emergency operating storage. And so, but the main component's fire. So the bulk of the water you have in a tank is sleep by fire. You know, if you have a big fire downtown, some bigger buildings or the school, you need, 400,000 gallons around, dump a ton of water down here. So they're sized for fire flows, and so are your transmission lines. You have a 12-inch line coming from the new tank and a 10-inch line coming from the old tank. So you can dump tons of water in the town. And the reason it's important to note that is if you talk about how adding more residences or more businesses affects the storage system, it really doesn't, because the storage system is for fires, and fire demands far exceed all the demands from every connection you have. So that component's driven by fire. So you can add a lot more people, not really affect storage, because it's sized for fire. Now the same could be said for your transmission line and the distribution system. Your piping in town are sized to deliver those huge fire flows. So the regular demands that occur from homes and businesses are the water's trickling through those pipes. And so, you can add a lot more homes, and the pipes have plenty of capacity to deliver water to users. Under fire conditions is when the pipes start getting, maxed out. So fire conditions are going to be the same, whether you have the same users you have now or a few more. So again, storage, distribution isn't really affected by additional users. Now, supply is different. Obviously, the more users you have, the more water you need. So if you could pass up that water supply figure. So we'll talk a little bit more and focus on your water supply situation, which is actually quite good. Just to summarize, your water system, or your supply system, which are your wells, have plenty of capacity. And the whole discussion I'm going to tell you right now on your supply wells doesn't even consider the Stanfield connection. Stanfield connection is just insurance. So you have 2 wells. Well 4 pumps about 175 to 275 gallons per minute. Well 5 pumps 790, almost 800. So you can see between the two of them, you have about 1,000 gallons a minute out of those 2 wells. That's a lot. So what I passed out, or what Dane passed out here, this plot that looks like this is from the state of Oregon's Oregon Water Resources Department site. And the reason I chose to present it this way is this is the official data from the city's wells submitted to the state. So Scott eats the flow meters from these wells monthly. And this is the summary. And if you look, you see 2024 followed by 2023 below the blue line. And there's well 2, well 3, 4, 5, and 6A, but you only really report everything's a 0 except for 4 and 5. Those are the only ones you use. And if the water years for the Water Resources Department go from October through September, that's irrigation season, and they still do that for cities. And so when you see like well number 4, the 2024 highlighted line, it starts in October in 23 and goes through September of 24. That's 2024 water year. Now I kind of marked in black this zone from May to September. That's your highest peak numbers. If you look at the use numbers on October through April, they're really low. So for the bulk of that time, those are more or less idling, and they obviously pump. But they're not working hard. And then you start looking at May, June, July, and you can see July and August are your peak months. It makes sense. That's when it's the wettest, or I'm sorry, the hottest. So everybody's washing their cars, doing all kinds of different things, irrigating a lot. And so we looked at the peak data there, and I summarized it on the bottom. So let's look at well number 5. The peak month that we saw in well number 5 is highlighted down there at the bottom. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the orange one. Well number 5 in August of 2024. You see that 30.38. Now that's an acre feet, so you have to convert it to gallons to understand it. That's down at the bottom, this highlighted well number 5 section there. And I'll run through it real quick. Your highest month of the 30.4 acre feet, which works out to 9.9 million gallons that month. So if you run the math, 9.9 million gallons divided by the pump capacity of 790 gallons a minute, work through the hours and minutes and days. That well ran 8.7 days in August out of 31 available days to run. So on its peak day or peak month, that's in all these last 2 years of records, it ran just under 9 days. So it rested the other 22 days. Yeah. And it got paid for the whole month. I agree. So well number 4, how did it do? Well number 4 had an interesting month in down in 2023, the 27.01 July. When you run the math, that thing ran nonstop the entire month. In 2024, the peak month for well 4, it ran about 55% of the time. So well 4 has less capacity. Scott's obviously running it harder, but you can see on a typical peak, it ran 55% of the time. And on a typical peak, well 5 runs 28% of the time. So what's this tell you in terms of your water supply? Well, obviously you can run those wells a lot more than you do. You have a permit capacity to run them at their rate, or water rate capacity, to run them at that rate all the time, 24 hours a day if you needed to. So there's gobs of well capacity. That's a scientific term. Gobs of well capacity. But the worst situation for your wells is the redundancy factor. As you can see, the well 5 does about 800, whereas well 4 does 200 to 250. Can you imagine what would happen if you broke well 5? You'd be in a world of hurt real quick. So that was why we recommended another well or a connection to Stanfield, which is what the city made a good decision in connecting to Stanfield. So you have a backup there in case you do lose well 4 or 5. You can avoid the situation of putting everybody on immediate rations and can utilize that emergency connection and keep yourself in business and for water supply. To put this in perspective too, if you look at the right-hand side of the numbers here, I've got some red and black words. I just figured that out in terms of 2024, you pumped just about 72 million gallons out of both your wells, and then 2023, you were up at 83 million. So that's a difference of 11 million gallons. And every year is different, more rainfall, less rainfall, things of that nature. Happens to be a construction project, lots of trucks filling for water, who knows what's happening. So if you run the math, that works out like 2024 was 137 gallons a minute average for the whole year, just to give you a number. If you had a supply source running at that rate, every minute of the whole year, it would equal that volume. So you can see that your wells only get run hard in 2 to 3 months out of the year, obviously. And in your most recent peak events, well 5, your best well, didn't even run a third of the time. So what does that tell you about conclusions here about your water system? Your water system has a lot of capacity to add more residences, commercial businesses. You can add a lot of more users. And be within the capacity of your whole system, and be within your approved water rates. Obviously, as we just mentioned, your second reservoir and transmission line is very, very good for redundancy, and you have the backup in Stanfield. And so that pretty much concludes it for the water system. It's got a lot of capacity.
So, Fred.
Yeah.
Now that have the second tower, excuse me, online, and that tower is now feeding town, we are pulling water from Stanfield's well to feed that tower.
Not yet. I don't
Not
think
yet.
you've activated it.
Oh, okay.
Now, that's a little bit confusing. Let me explain that. When you fill the first reservoir with wells 4 and 5,
It automatically.
that'll back feed. Yeah, those green pipes can go both directions. I drew arrows down in town because that's where it normally goes, but it can go the other way. So you haven't used it yet. You've been filling up with your existing. Yeah, and I don't think you plan to use it unless you happen to have a high demand or, like for instance, if the Northgate system or the Northgate area ever developed heavily, it would be more efficient to draw a little from Stanfield and serve it that way versus pump and circulate all the way back. But, Scott would find the balance between what Echo needs and what Stanfield has going on and operate it accordingly.
But we're gonna try to run them together. As soon as we get the power ran out there, and get the flow meter, we're just not done yet.
Yeah.
As soon as we get the next phase done, then we can fill from both sides, and that way we can chlorinate a little bit. Right now, we're having trouble with our chlorination, with being able to only chlorinate from one well. So it'll be better, and we'll set it online where it just builds from both sides anyway, so.
Which will take some stress off your existing wells a little bit.
That was gonna be my point, is that well 5 and well 4, the aging wells, those pumps, whatever, won't have to work as hard, so they shouldn't potentially last longer.
Yes, yeah, and well pumps, they can of course break at any moment. Cross fingers, hopefully don't. Sometimes they last 10 years, 15 years, 20, 25 years. It's just hard to know. Their equipment, just like your car, stuff breaks.
But it basically gives, Echo has 2 wells, Stanfield has 3 wells. We have 5 wells that fill all the tanks together.
Four total tanks.
And so if we need to do any work on our older tank, which there is maintenance inside the tank that eventually is gonna need to be done, because we've talked about that. We could draw that tower completely down and operate off the one
Correct.
for the entire town,
You
and
could.
then do our work and then build it back up.
Yeah, and that's the advantage of keeping it the same level and having 2 transmission lines. You can have, God forbid this happens, but you could have a transmission line failure of some kind, break that pipe, and still keep everybody in water out of the other tank. So.
I'm trying to remember, like 4 years ago when you came.
Mhm.
You say you're taking water out from Stanfield, because we share rights, for a certain percentage of water rights with Stanfield. We're not taking water away from Stanfield, because we share rights at a well, right?
Yes,
Is that
sure.
correct? Yeah.
Yes.
It's a punitive version.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I actually designed well number 5 in Stanfield. I didn't do the system, but I did the well. And that well has it's a ridiculous well in terms of capacity and very little drawdown. That's a killer well. It's in a good aquifer there. So the city of Stanfield has a certain permit capacity in that well. And so it's just like Echo does. You've got a right to pump well 5 at 790 gallons, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Obviously, you're not. And so you're not technically taking water from Stanfield. Yes, you're using Stanfield's allowed capacity within that well. So it's just taking more, but it's all allowed with their permit. Yeah, and then of course, every drop that you take from there, you don't take from here, and they're all in the same aquifer. So it really doesn't result in any increased use, just spreads it out a little bit. Yeah. And it doesn't hurt Stanfield. They have the same situation. They have capacity within their system.
I would like to ask a question, but first, I've been down the conflict of interest before on another issue, so I have to declare that I potentially could have a conflict of interest to this water because I own a water business. But I do not believe that we have any, we have our own well. We're not connected to any of the city wells. So I do not believe that really is, it could be potential, but I don't believe it's a conflict of interest. So in going on and, until somebody tells me that it is, I'm gonna ask questions.
Sure.
So my questions are, how many total water rights do we have for the Echo City? Because we added all those new ones. What's the total amount?
Oh, I don't know that off the top of my head, do you?
I thought there was the two.
I'd have to look at the master
We have
plan. Some of
three
those-
total.
Is-
Three total. I think it's 29. I think the total amount, not in acre feet, it's 2,900 gallons a minute. I think total between the three well for the water rights is what it's total. Because
Wow.
we have a very large
Yeah.
permit because we moved the point of diversion to the Stanfield well was 1,900 gallons a minute.
And I think Stanfield has 2.4
See it,
CFS.
yeah, and that's
And then
450,
Echo,
900, 1350,
We get
that's
about
about 1,500.
1,500 gallons a minute. The Stanfield, and then Echo I think Echo has more.
Well, it looks here like well 5, if I'm reading this right, has 133.16. Is that there, or is that just what they put out? Is that the max on here? Look, total water used, where usually on this report, usually they have what the water right, this is from the state of Oregon,
It's a
Yeah.
different site, shows you.
the water right. So do we just have water rights from well 4 and well 5? And then there's a Stanfield division.
Two has the biggest water rights at Echo, even though well
Okay.
2 is no longer functional. Those were moved to well 5 and well
Yes,
4.
yes.
And
Okay,
then well 3 picked off a little bit of that. And then we haven't been using it there hasn't been a ton of water used from Echo since the beginning. So the water rights that we had have never been used. So
mhm.
those were the ones that were picked up by Summit Water that you approved the contract to have them do the point of diversion to that other well. So the water is still City of Echo's water rights, not Stanfield.
So wells 2, 3, 4, and 5 show our water rights.
2, 4, and 5, I believe.
2, 4, and 5.
I have to go back and look at the map.
Okay,
I
and,
know 2 is our very big.
and so some of these water rights are the ones that are on the Stanfield well too. Out of the
Point of
two.
diversion.
The point of diversion.
Point of diversion.
So, that point of division water rights would show the 2, 5, and 4. Okay, perfect, I can look it up then,
Yeah,
myself.
it's all on that.
Yeah, I can look that up. So 2, 5, and 4 is our total
And if you
water
look,
rights.
and if you look back in your notes, council, when you prove that, Summit Water has that recorded.
Yeah, that's great. I can look that up. I just didn't, I looked at it the other day, but I wasn't sure. So that clarifies that 2, 5, and 4 is the total. And then the other question, you're telling us about 4 and 5 here. So I just want to make sure I understand it. So 4, we're using 50%, what the record that this is showing though is what we have right now, our city right now, the houses we have, and for the fire and everything. So if we do a new development, we have 50% more in, well 4. And then we have, we're only using a third in well 5, so we have 2 times.
Mhm.
So if we ran out of water then, and we had to, we would still have water rights, but we didn't have enough water in those wells, then we would go to the Stanfield well, to the diversion point.
Yeah, the city has that option. And
Yeah.
Scott can choose to fill his tanks from any and all, whatever's best operationally.
Mhm.
But yes, you're right. And that's only the peak month. Obviously, you can see when you go through October through April, you're barely running at probably 5% of
Mhm.
the well. So, but you look at your peaks because that's when your wells are.
So-
Basically, the only reason we run, sorry,
No, go ahead.
basically the only reason we run well 4 at home,
Mhm.
because it's a small, is because that's the only place we have a way to clear
Right.
it. And so, once we can get this phase 3 done,
Mhm.
we won't even, you wouldn't have to run well 4 because we could chlorinate from well 5 and we could use that as
Mhm.
just a backup.
But like, well, four doesn't put out a lot of water, but the only reason we use that is, and five, they run together, just so we can coordinate. If that makes,
Mhm.
sense.
So, you know, there's a lot of rumors that go around. And so we're gonna be doing a development, probably in the near future with Snows. You guys designed it originally, which you did a beautiful job.
Oh, thank
I
you.
loved it, yeah, the way it was, I loved it. But
That's
I
high
guess,
praise for an engineer. We don't do anything artistic. Everything's.
yeah, no, we loved your plan. But, I guess we're gonna be moving on to a new venture there.
Yeah.
There might be more homes. And so from what I'm seeing here, this is my assumption that that development, we could supply with water.
Yeah, it's, we could run some
Even with
math.
with the increase of homes, we want to run stuff to check.
Yeah, you could run the math based on what your typical demand is for residences and then project it out based. I think it was 66 lots when we did it originally. I think they're gonna do it in phases, so it would be years and years and years before you fill that all up, but I'm not sure we're not working with the new developer. I think he was gonna increase the lot sizes, or, I'm sorry, decrease the lot sizes,
yes.
increase the homes. But yeah, and you guys all know how development works. It might take years for that to even get half full, so.
Right.
But yeah, we could estimate that, but you can see from these wells, I mean, it's not you've got plenty of capacity to serve those homes in your water. system.
Yeah, because
And our biggest user of our water is the Gulf.
Yeah,
By far.
And really, with chlorinated water, right? And we've discussed in the past, maybe having a different well supply the Gulf Shores with unchlorinated water.
yeah, we
Which would
talked
take
back,
the demand off of water.
yes, back in
System.
the master plan days, we talked about seeing if we could configure well 3 to serve it, because it's could pump straight up to it, and you wouldn't have to chlorinate. It has some iron and manganese and a few other things, but the grass is not gonna care about this.
so if
Yeah.
So if, my concern with Scott said that the days that we need more, that would really be taken into perspective so that we don't have to, minimize our water use or put us on, some kind of rate, lower rate and not take a bath every other day or whatever. We would check that out after when we put that into this next development so that we're okay.
Yeah, and that's something that we could easily do, but I can tell you right now, from the small demand from those homes and the significant capacity you have in the wells, they can handle.
What is the demand that you made on the homes? What is it per person or per home?
I can't remember what Echoes, I don't have the master plan, it's probably around 220 or 30 gallon per capita a day, so, let's just make some really loud.
200 gallon per day? Okay.
I'm guessing.
Per home or per person?
No, that's per person, and so if you took, let's estimate it at 250, just to be safe.
Okay.
If you did 250 and you had 66 lots and they had 2.5 people per lot, I mean, these are all wild guesses. It's just-
What, 2.34 or 2.
Okay,
Something like
so let's go 2.4 times 66, that's 158 people.
Okay.
Times 250, that's 39,600 gallons a day, times 30, 1.2 million gallons a month. So you can take a peak month if you want, just to check well 5. Well 5 was running at 28% capacity at 9.9. And if you ran that up to another 1.2 plus 9.9, that's 11.1. I can have the answer in just a minute. 11.1 divided by 790, divided by
All those math.
24 divided by 60. It's gonna be running 9.8 days instead of 8.7 days in the peak month. So you can see that houses aren't big hit to your system. It's not the houses. It's if you had a data center come in here, you're immediately in serious trouble.
Right.
So it's the big businesses that come in that really impact your infrastructure. The homes don't do that. They're just little tiny compared to the businesses. So yeah. Yeah.
So can I ask another question? Maybe this is too far off, but with, if we needed more water and, we chose to do the recharge valves to come in, how would that work with our quality of our water?
Yeah, you're talking about aquifer storage.
Yeah,
And we've been involved in several ASR projects where you take surface water and you treat it to clean it up,
mhm,
and then you inject it into the salt aquifer. To give you an idea, Pendleton does it,
mhm.
Baker does it, Hermiston's on the verge of doing it.
Are they all coming from the Columbia?
No, Baker's comes from Goodrich Reservoir up the mountains.
Okay,
They're about the only town I know of that actually doesn't have to treat it. It's so clean up there.
yeah,
Pendleton's comes out of the Umatilla River and they have a membrane treatment system.
okay,
They inject. Hermiston, is coming out of an alluvial well. You're not sure?
I think it's gonna be a sand filter system or something.
Yeah,
like
they're
that.
gonna treat it, filter it, and then inject it. So you have to permit that through the Oregon Water Research Department. They make you, first do a feasibility study to show the work. You have to check chemistry, so you're not putting the surface
Right.
water and messing up the aquifer.
yeah,
And there's lots of testing. Actually, if you guys know where Fossil, Oregon is, we just wrapped
Yes.
up one for them, and they're putting in just 30 gallons a minute into a deep well, but it's gonna serve them way better in the summer. They have it coming out of the spring
Mhm.
that's popping out of the mountain, but yeah, it's a good way to go, but it takes, you have to have surface water, right?
mhm,
And then you have to treat it and get it to certain standards before you can inject it. The idea is you inject water in the fall, winter, and spring, and then it gives you more to pump out in the summer, plus it helps the aquifer. Fills it up.
So what is the results with, since we're having this big nitrate issue, what is the results of getting contaminated by nitrates in these injections because you're going through the surface? Yeah, well, what is is there,
Yeah, you'll test for that, and they'd never be allowed to be injected if it
okay,
had nitrates.
it'd be tested all the time?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
it's a nonstop thing, yeah.
is the cost huge for this, or is it,
Well, you wouldn't want to develop a surface water source that had a lot of nitrates and then pay a bunch of money to treat it. You'd try to find a different source. You know, like all the cities I just mentioned don't have nitrates in their sources.
right, those are
So,
clean sources?
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't
Mhm,
put a big well in the middle of a nitrate plume and then spend a bunch of money to treat it.
right,
That would be cost effective.
so our choice, we don't really have any place to pull from here except the Columbia River.
I don't know that you have any surface water rights, for permits. I know Stanfield has a 22 CFS permit. if I'm not
Well, I mean,
mistaken.
through the port, we'd have to go through the port probably.
How much do you have?
11.5.
Oh, 11 and a half, okay, I doubled it for some reason, but, I wrote your plan, but it was a very long time ago.
Mhm.
But, yeah, Stanfield has a Columbia River surface water permit now. I'm sorry, Umatilla River, but they may have the permit, but there needs to be water there. You know, obviously, if there's not water to pump, they can't activate it, so
Mhm.
there's a lot of factors. The Columbia River always seems to have water for obvious reasons.
Right,
It starts in Canada, and it's a series of lakes. But yeah, the port, last I heard, the port had 140 some CFS, but they're using it for the regional water system and lots of different sources. And then Umatilla, I think, has,
so we'd have to use their water
Yeah.
rights if we used it, and they'd have to be open.
yeah, they'd have to be able
Okay.
to sell it to you and all that.
Yeah, okay,
So it's an option, you know.
yeah, and we don't have any surface water rights.
I
is
don't
what you're saying.
believe Echo
Okay.
does. no.
Okay,
So you really don't have an option for ASR unless you got water.
okay, thank you.
Yeah. So are there any questions on the water system? There's obviously a lot of capacity there. Yeah.
Officers are not recharging as much as aren't they going down each year from, because of the snowpack in the mountains is not as much and,
Yeah.
so we're getting recharged less and less all the time, our wells are.
Yeah.
So now that we're going down, we have all this building coming up eventually. I mean, what we have to do then, with the decline in water is And I'll have to get it pumped from the Columbia or something.
Well, that's a very detailed question. I mean, it's a good question, but there's lots of ways to answer it, but, that's why you're in a critical ground. There's no more permit capacity allowed for those reasons. It's been appropriated a lot and it can't be pumped. Yeah, my personal opinion is I don't know that it can even be pumped at the level it is now, because you are seeing declines. And, we looked at that.
Put out some information, a chart from the state that showed that Stanfield and Hermiston's actual aquifers were actually rising the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, it goes through, it all depends on weather, and these salt aquifers are recharged from the boost.
Because it showed this gradual decline for like 30 years. Last 4 or 5 since they've been doing this, it's those aquifers have come up.
And some of that could be
Is
affected.
that not the case?
Here, I discussed this, I'm sorry,
No, you're good. 'Cause
but, the aquifers went down, I looked it up. They had, entered Stanfield's wrong. Last part, it's went down 18 feet since 2013.
By
2 of 20, we do them in February every year.
And the state monitors that as well. They have a whole network of salt wells, and they run around measure.
We measure them every.
Twice a year or
Once.
once a year.
Once a year.
And,
So they have a long time.
the data on the well 5, that, when it was brought up, I seen it like, wow, this isn't right. The state had entered the data wrong, and so they have corrected it now.
So Echo's 18-foot drop.
I don't have that.
Oh, you don't know Echo's.
Stanfield, well, they're at Pilot, which we're all in the same aquifer.
Mhm.
That, since we started that well we started in 12. And so in 13 to now, or to this February, it's went down 18 feet. So, in 12 years, you know, it's in a slower decline than it used to be.
Mhm.
And,
Now that will, just to answer your question about long-term, which is your question. Yeah, I mean, if they continue to drop sometime off in the future, it's gonna become a real problem.
Mhm.
But- What's gonna happen, because you folks are all regulatory approved, certificated water rights to pump at that level. What'll happen if aquifers continue to decline over time is the state will have to step in and start, based on your age of your water right, they'll start at the young ones and say, you're done.
I believe you're starting
Um,
that here.
they started in like 1990.
Yeah, it's happened on surface water.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're doing it on surface water already, but you've got a long way. I mean, where's your pump set where's your pump set in well 5 in Stanfield?
754, we're,
And your-
754, that was where that's where the mistake came from, is the transducer set at the pump, and we have about 300 feet,
Okay.
but they didn't submit, so we have about 290 feet of water right now above our pump. So we have that much water.
That's to answer your question, Jamie. Yeah, it's dropped 18 feet, but it still has 290 feet above it. So it can pump a very long
So
time.
we can have all kinds of buildings.
Well,
going on.
eventually, it could be a problem, but it's not, it's very slow.
But the well itself is built at 12 feet, so you had to put the well down, or the 12 down lower, so.
And lowering pumps into salt wells is a common practice, because they do, the water levels will drop over time. Sometimes they will rebound, like the mayor said, depends on precipitation and years, but, the state's all over that and is trying to implement practices to reduce them.
Mhm.
But it's not gonna affect you in the near term or even, it could be 20, 30, 40 years
Won't
before.
be in my lifetime.
Yeah, we're not gonna care, right?
Mhm.
Because
That's a
I
good
think
question.
back, when they were declaring this, the critical groundwater, we were losing about 12 feet
And now I think we're losing a little over a foot a year, so.
Mhm,
It has been mitigated some.
Yes.
mhm.
Okay. So is it clear that your water is pretty good, got lots of capacity? Okay,
It's clear that we'll do very careful planning.
I would, yeah,
Yeah.
everything affects it.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. The cemetery district has been given 4 acres in Ag Northwest. We've got to see about getting that zone into the city, and we'll have to hook onto city water.
Yeah, well, 3 might be a good option for that, because then it takes off the pulling.
Yeah.
Pulling and sprinkling on grass. Yeah. Okay, so wastewater is a different story. If we can talk about that real quick. Dane's passing out just a picture of your lagoons. The wastewater system actually does have a little bit of capacity still, but it's very, much closer to being maxed out than the water system. And there's lots of details in the wastewater system capacity analysis, and we'll talk about some of them, but try to keep it at a understandable level. There's a lot of science. Real quick, with your wastewater system, you have a similar thing with water. The collection system are the pipes in town that all the homes and businesses are connected to. Those pipes have all kinds of capacity because they're sized for, they're sized to handle solids and the wastewater. So they're a certain size to allow things to flow right. That size then has a lot of capacity. So without getting into the weeds, you can add all kinds of people to your system for the collection. And then your Bonanza lift station was recently improved. All your wastewater drains to it, and it's lifted and pumped to the lagoons. It has 250 gallons a minute pumps, and your average flow is only 27 gallons. Obviously, you have peak flows. The lift station has all kinds of capacity to handle more wastewater flows. Where your problems are in the lagoons. And so where are your lagoons at for capacity? Now, your lagoons do all the treatment and the disposal because you use evaporation in those fountains to dispose of your water. So in real simple terms, without getting into the numbers, on the second page here, the Faculty Lagoon System. Lagoons are designed to handle the hydraulic load, which is all the water, that's in showers, dishwashers, everything. But they're also sized to handle the organic load, which is, the waste in the wastewater. So they have to be able to handle both. Now, when cities are situated with capacity problems in their lagoons, sometimes it's hydraulic. You're getting too much water from infiltration from rain or things. Other times it's organic. You're getting too much wastewater load. Sometimes it's both. And so each situation is different. And so, but ECHO's reaching capacity for both. And the lagoons have to be big enough to allow enough time for the wastewater to slowly work through so they can have residents time for the bugs to act and clean. So you have to have enough time for the water to go through. You can imagine if you get too much water, it moves through too quick and then you can't have good treatment. So you have time to get the wastewater treated, and then you also need a big enough surface area of those lagoons for it to evaporate. You got to get rid of it. Now, before this recent project, when I say recent, you used to discharge to the river. So, you don't do that anymore. Thank goodness, because that's regulatorily tough. So now you just treat in the lagoons and evaporate. And you've installed some spray fountains recently that really helps with evaporation and get rid of some water up into the air. And then your recent project where you have a backup disposal option of pumping to Stanfield should you get maxed out. You haven't had to do that yet. You've done that as a backup just in case, which is a smart move. And so you've also added this redundancy to your wastewater system, so you're not caught, blowing through your limits or overflowing the lagoon, which both of those things are a disaster. You can pump to Stanfield and help address that, which is a wise move. Give you a similar redundancy in wastewater as you did in water. And so we completed a pretty significant lagoon capacity analysis. There's an 8-page memo. Dane prepared it. We ran it through our wastewater folks, and that was done in response to all the anticipated increased wastewater loads from Northgate and residential. I don't know if you remember seeing that. It was full of a bunch of engineering analysis. We looked at BOD and TSS and all the different treatment processes and what it takes. So that memo, we have it here. It's dated August 27th. Dave has a copy. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's at City Hall. So get a copy if you want to go to sleep at night and start reading that about how we figured out the capacity. But in a summary, it's on this page here. Your treatment capacity was found to be at about 90%. So you're close to being maxed out, and your water hydraulic capacity is similar. So your lagoons are running at 90%. Now, you can't just go out and say, okay, they're at 90%. Next year, they might be at 80%. The year after that, they might be at 98%. Every year is different because your wastewater loads, I mean, it depends on how much rain you get. There's people with illegal connections off of roof drains, and you get a heavy rain here, and all of a sudden you got more water. So every year's a little different, but the point is they're getting pretty maxed out. So the conclusion, what does this mean? Because I'm sure the next question is going to be, how many homes can we add?
Yeah.
So,
Look at that.
yeah, I figured I'm reading your mind. So there really isn't a number. I mean, it's difficult to estimate the exact number of homes because, like I say, every year is different. Homes are not the contributor to wastewater, the hard hit on your wastewater system, just like your water. It's 2.3 people per home or whatever the average was, and all you're talking about is flushing your toilet and a few minor things. Your wastewater loads come from businesses. You have cafes, restaurants, and which you don't have a lot here. Those are the entities that provide more demand on your lagoons for treatment. If you were to get a brewery in here or something that really hit the system hard, you'd be in trouble. Now, most cities have a pre-treatment ordinance, which I'm sure you do. So if you did get a business that had a big hit on the wastewater system, you require them to pre-treat, or you would require them to help augment your lagoon capacity. So you can see in the memo, the whole point of writing that memo was to find out the lagoon size necessary for the Northgate development. We looked at the Snow development and how much more lagoon area is needed. And it's in that memo. And if memory serves, it was a total of 19 more acres of treatment, or I'm sorry, storage lagoon, treatment and storage. It was down as low as 8 or 9, depending on which development happened. So the point is if something, let's say Northgate blows up and a whole bunch of stuff happens up there. Well, whoever's developing is going to have to contribute and help the city and build more lagoon capacity, because you're going to be maxed out.
And we have that with Madison.
Right. So how's this translate to homes? It's going to take a lot of homes to get from 90% to 100%, because homes just aren't a big contributor. You know, you might be able to add 25, 30, 35, 50. But, you know, we could try to estimate it, but it's not going to be the thing that tips you over. It's going to take years to get to 50 homes out there. And you're going to, I guarantee you, I can't give it to you, but I imagine something else will happen in the commercial area up there that will will trigger more lagoon capacity and then you'll be okay. And you'll have others contribute to it. So I think that's the really important item to note about wastewater is you're not gonna get hit. The homes aren't gonna hurt you. It's gonna be the businesses that tip you over and they'll be the ones that help contribute to. Now, or help contribute to new lagoon. Now, that said, if you have 5 snow developments, you'll get there. I mean, you'll max out, but you know, you're not gonna grow that much in Echo.
So what happens if we overreach and build too many businesses or too many homes and now all of a sudden we don't have our lagoon built yet, our extra lagoon? Are we gonna get just DEQ charges or are we gonna be not able to flush our toilets or what is the consequence of that?
Scott goes to jail. No. Just kidding. And then we visited, you know, bring things.
He might enjoy it, you know, I don't know.
No, first off, Scott has to sample, the influent effluent down there to permit them. So far, he's meeting them.
Mhm.
And then, so you would continue to sample and you'll know if you're crowding if your lagoons are not performing before you get there. Scott will start to notice, oh man, we're having a harder time getting our treatment because the wastewater is getting stronger, more hydraulic load water, and not enough big enough lagoons. Now, so you get ahead of it. You know, at that point you say, and you're already there. I mean, in my opinion, you should look at adding some capacity to your lagoon system because somebody's going to come along and want to locate a business up there, and you're going to have to ask them. So you'll be ahead of it, and you'll know it. And then secondly, you have the backup option of being able to pump wastewater to Stanfield. So that system was set up to alleviate this very situation. So you don't. There's cities that have almost overflowed lagoons, you know, because they maxed out and they don't have an option. You have an option to pump it to Stanfield. So you're not going to get in trouble from having an overflow or something of that nature because you have an option to get rid of it.
Well, so Scott, I'm hearing the rumor that Stanfield doesn't have the capacity to take our excess. Is that a rumor or do you still have capacity to take a lot of sewer through that Stanfield?
Right now, as we agreed with the agreement, was to take it during the winter months when the lagoons would be high. And so, because then I can go to the river. Right now, in the summertime, we don't have capacity to store, but we have the other option to get rid of it with the fountains. So when we're going to the river in Stanfield, then that's when we would take the effluent. And, but we're looking through doing a plant upgrade also, but it doesn't mean we can't take it. We're agreed with the city of Echo to take, if there was a problem, and most of the time it'd probably be in the springtime, late winter, spring, to take the effluent while we're going to the river. And so, yeah.
So I'm kind of hearing that we have a small buffer, but not a large buffer until you get your new plan in.
The city of Echo really doesn't want to pump effluent to the city, only it's an emergency overflow.
Oh, okay, so we don't want to plan to use you for houses and stuff.
It's just security.
It's just an emergency overflow, we've got a problem.
I see.
And then we go ahead and we get rid of some of the effluent out of.
So you're our emergency place, so we don't get a DEQ.
Well, it's just so we have a place to go. Once they get too deep, you need to leave a couple foot buffer in. And so the last 2 years that we've been monitoring this, it's worked out real well.
Yeah, okay, thank you for explaining that.
But it's an emergency overflow and we'll take it in the winter time and run it through the plant.
Yeah, and then Scott would manage that, and then you pump your lagoons down in the winter when he can handle it, discharge it within his permit. And then that would give you more capacity because you opened up some room.
Some room.
Yeah, and so it's a management thing that you have to be on top of. But
In summer, you're gonna get high evaporation.
So,
And the load so far, you know, the sampling that we've done on the effluent, it's It's not real heavy, so it would go on through the plant in Stanfield. Very simple. The VOD loading on it and the TSS isn't very high, so.
That's good. Yeah, so from a city standpoint, even if you didn't think you were gonna add any homes, which every city adds some homes at the time.
Right.
Cause you can just look at your historical population. I mean, everybody grows a little. It would be wise not to be this close to maxed out.
Okay.
You know, I mean, from this, because look at everything you just did for your water systems and solved it for redundancy and safety. There's no reason why we shouldn't figure out an option to not have you be so precarious. Because you are close to maxed out.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, yeah, so yeah, like I mentioned earlier, the wastewater system is not as happy as the water system. You can add some homes. I mean, if they develop 5 or 10 homes over the next year or two, it's not gonna tip you over. It's some business that get harder.
Well, that's Madison's, we have that where they would have to put in those lagoons.
Right.
And then any other housing development that would come in would have to pay their SDCs. We'd have to work on expanding the treatment for those. And the one that's proposed now, sounds like they want to do it in phases. And so if we get through the first phase or two, and then the system's precarious, then phase 3 just doesn't happen until we can get some.
That's right.
But those people all have to pay their SDCs, which would go to help pay for expanding that capacity.
Correct, yeah, you're all set up to deal with this, through SDCs and sampling to know when you're getting closer.
So is that usually how the lagoons are paid for through, not the developer doesn't pay for them? We would do it out of this.
Both
Both? Okay.
situations. It's one of those deals where you don't want to be a developer that comes along when the system's maxed out.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of cities, I mean, it's your responsibility to provide treatment, you know, wastewater and water systems. So sometimes cities, and that's what you did underwater. Fortunately, you're able to score a significant grant and get your water system dialed in without having to be a big hit on the users. And you would hope to do the same thing on the wastewater. You know, and it's just a little proactive, being a little more proactive to, you know, you could have somebody come in that wanted to really do something nice up there that would augment the city, that you don't want to be you know, a limiting factor to potential opportunities. And that's obviously in your choice, whether you want to allow that to happen or not, but it's wise to not have maxed out infrastructure system.
So that's why in Madison's, they have 9 acres, but they had to guarantee in their annexation agreement that you all approved that they have to build a pond.
Yeah.
That meets that. They had to hold back 9 acres to build an 9-acre pond. We've also been discussing how to mitigate solids in our current ponds by removing possibly a second dike, moving the dike between A and B cells, and then looking at options for other properties to put smaller acreages of evaporation. So those are discussions that we've been having internally with Public Works, Dane, and landowners, just trying to figure out the options, because at the end of the day, the taxpayers don't need to be picking up that dime. So that's the whole idea.
And there are times when you still have to do infrastructure improvement because stuff ages and wears out.
Right, but that's a different scenario.
That's different.
We're not in that situation.
No. So yeah, in summary, just like you said, your wastewater system very close, but it can take on some homes, but nothing too significant beyond that. So any questions? That was a lot of information here to.
No, it's good.
Okay, good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and then we'll get the stuff to you, Dave, in a PDF. I'll probably scan it yourself and send it to you. Yeah. Okay, well, we appreciate your time.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Thank you guys for coming, I appreciate it.
You bet.
Very good. Okay. So moving on to, there's no old business. New business.
Wait a second, I gotta look at my. Well, I'm still gonna ask the council if in old business, we could review, some of the, something that we've been, wondering if we could slow down a little bit for a couple of months till Christmas. Because it's been so overwhelming the last year. And, I know there's hunting seasons going on, deer and elk, and then Thanksgiving and Christmas. So, we would like to just cut, things to minimum the next few months. And, basically just to, interviews and just let us take a break and reorganize and let us please enjoy the holidays. And maybe nobody else agrees with me, but, I think I've heard it from a few people that they would like to slow down too and just concentrate on the interviews. But even to the point of canceling on the 21st, a public hearing, and then we wait and renew this in January, and we start again. And wait, let me finish.
The agenda.
Oh, it's old business.
There was nothing on the
It's
agenda.
not on the
for that,
agenda.
so Whatever, you
Well, could the council allow me to speak about that?
You should have, if you wanted to have it on the agenda, you should have asked for it to be.
Well, I did ask for it to be on in a different way, and it wasn't put on. Yes, because I asked for an executive session, so I did ask for it to be on the
You did
agenda.
not ask for an executive session, honestly.
Well, I did in a way, but I did, because it
In a
ain't,
way, what is this? What is this in a way stuff? You have to be specific. The council has a job to do, we need to do it. The people elected us to do a job. And yes, there's a lot to be done, but we have to do things legally and appropriately, and we cannot be discussing, and I already told you this before we started the meeting, the public hearing stuff in the regular council meeting. It's not legal to be doing that.
the land use attorney did suggest that we slow that pace down,
You
so.
were out of order, Tammy.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
Excuse me,
Yes, Maria.
but I thought when it says about old, business, that did fall on old business.
If you have old business that you would like to discuss, then you need to ask to have it added onto the agenda. That's how we've always done it. You can't just bring things to a council meeting randomly and decide to talk about them. We have to notify the public of what we're gonna be talking about, so they have an opportunity to, if they're interested in that topic, to come here and listen to what you have to say about it. It's the meeting rules. I don't make them. It's how the state has run for since 1859 or whenever the state became a state. I'm sorry for that, but I don't make the rules. Don't blame me. I know a lot of people want to blame me for this.
But you can make an exception, I think, in the rules, because you're the mayor, you do the
We could
agenda.
have added it to the agenda at the time of the meeting.
I asked before the meeting for you to
But
add
the
it.
public hearing, I told you, we cannot discuss that. We can discuss the public hearing in the public hearing. That's the end of that story. The lawyer has already discussed that.
But you
So
could
we
add it,
can't-
Chad,
we cannot add it to this
because you're the mayor.
meeting. We will talk about the timeline of the public hearing in the public hearing. That's the appropriate place for that. We'll have a meeting on the 21st that has already been set. You guys voted on that. We will discuss the timeline then. Thank you.
Well, there is something else I'm concerned about. I'll talk about it in the interviews.
Okay, very good. That is on the agenda.
Okay.
So moving on
To
then.
new business, I had one too, I just wanted to double check. There were some letters and stuff that citizens wanted read, that they posted to all of us on our city council website. Do we not read them when they ask for it to be read? Jerry Fife has a letter that she asked to be read at this meeting. And, she's a citizen, do we not read the letters, or how's that work? Okay, I mean, okay, then I'll just give them to you so you can read them, because you got them too, though.
I got one from the Fives. didn't fully read, because it went all over the place.
Okay,
Yeah, we can-
and then there was also some changes on here to, some that, Gina Fike had wanted changed on the public records law, but I couldn't really, I saw that, you guys all got it too. And it says she wanted to change some of the public records on the one that we haven't approved yet. So that, I don't, she said she was misquoted. And we got it, all of us, as a group email.
Well, we can read her letters then at the in public comment.
Okay.
You can certainly read them, that'd be fine.
Okay,
You have them printed out, it'll be easy for you then. Okay. So we'll move on to agenda item number 13, approval of position reclass. So
Everybody got-
Dave, you're up.
Everybody got a copy of the memo. We've been talking about reclass for positions for a while. I put together a little bit of a financial package. I also put together the job descriptions, which isn't a big change for any of them really, other than the librarian from part-time to, well, 3/4 time to full-time. And with benefits, otherwise that position would be, I guess I'll just say it one at a time. The assistant position, when we hired the position, it ended up being full-time at the golf course. And so it doesn't make any sense to have it have the position as an assistant when they're not an assistant. There's 24/7 at the golf course. And the duties that are there are the golf course manager position that we already had on file from when we previously had a golf course manager. I simply changed a few things, updated a few things, and printed it. And questions about the golf course manager position reclass.
That's what she's doing. Up there,
Seems like it's pretty well done. Job.
I have a question. On her qualifications, does it say that she is to have a license for pesticide? Do you have one?
No, but I added that in there.
Yeah, she'll have to get that. She'll have to get that. You don't have, you can get these positions and you have to get those over a certain period of time. It's just like Public Works. They get a year or two to get their licenses, or 2 or 3. So that's how that works, Maria.
I would like to just add a comment that I'm thinking that since we're going to get new management in January, that this would be, which could change, maybe increase this or change it, that it would be better to wait and review this with the new administrator that comes in January. And then we would talk about the budget, after we did the budget in May and June. In 1926, we would talk about the payroll increases, where we are when we see how much we have to pay for this new city administrator that comes on and where our budget is. And then we talk about these, because I could see with the new administrator coming on that it could totally change it, because they might ask every one of these employees to change their roles to go on. So I kind of think we should leave that for the new administrator to do. And it will be another, 6 months to wait, but we're rushing things, and I think that's more appropriate.
I have a comment on, I don't think we need to wait on it, because the new administrator isn't going to know what our situation is. They're not going to be able to say, you spend 24 hours a day up there, so that's the way it should be, and so on. It's, we should present them with what we want in our staff, and then they have something to present on it, they can.
Well, I think that we should wait, because that would gives the opportunity the new administrator to work with them and give more information and have a better, clear, than just coming into the job and picking up something different that he might not agree with.
And aren't the raises particularly done?
I can't hear you, Jimmy.
Aren't the raises generally in June when we discuss wages? I mean, at the end of the fiscal year, when we generally do that?
They can be done at any time with a vote of the council, but it's whatever you want.
No, I just don't know how much money we have in the budget, how much everything.
Well, I did a budget review for you, but
I know that's-
I reviewed the classifications, I think they need to do these to them, but I'm going back to the memo that they wrote to the council. And he says there's no, so from my understanding, reading the memo, and I might need some help, Dave. On the third paragraph. From my understanding, reading that paragraph, the changes, really the big change in the expense is gonna be to the librarian because of the benefits, but like the wages right currently aren't gonna change right now, like we're not gonna give the employees a raise right now, we're just reclassifying. Is that how I'm understanding it?
it would be reclassified and those would, whenever the budget would go into effect, would be up to the council, correct? But there was no, if the budget were to go, the way I designed it was that as I was going back through the budget, just kind of a review, I kind of noticed that I'd underestimated on the water resources, so I actually did increase the water resources and the water expenses just to kind of better reflect the operation as a proposal, but that's what I'm seeing on the books. But in the end of it, I had contingency and all the funds already built into the current budget, so there was no negative expense to the current budget. If those increases were to, the base increases were to be at the base rates proposed with the insurance for the librarian and then full-time and then the golf course position and the clerk admin position, there would be no negative on the current budget, the 25-26, there'd be zero because it's already in there in the contingency fund. So it wouldn't wipe out the contingencies for one. Two, it's built in there that there's room for it in there. That's how I designed it. That's one of the first things I did because I knew it would be a question about budget load. And so that's what I went back through because the contingencies that are appropriated in the current budget would cover the current cost increase for the remainder of the year and still leave contingency in there.
So you did give a raise, but it was out of the contingency form.
I haven't given any raise.
No, but you want us to.
It would be in those positions. It could be. I mean, that's a proposal is retroactive, not retroactive, excuse me. Would start November 1st, December 1st, January 1st, whenever you wanted to do it. Built it in. So I did the calculations for the rest of the fiscal year based on what that would cost. And those that I had that in those contingencies, golf would be the one by itself. And then the library, because she also does clerking throughout the city, a lot of clerking, that would come from general and water and sewer. And there was contingency in all of those to cover those costs. And it wouldn't be a full year for insurance anyway, because it's only for 6 months, because there's insurance runs from January to December and our budgets run from July 1 to June 30. So that's how I did the calculation, Tammy. That's how I did the math.
Well, and nobody knows their functions and how well they do them as you do, Dave.
Correct.
You've been working with them. Tanya, now you've been on for what, a year and a half or so? 2 years?
Tomorrow.
A year tomorrow? Okay, well, very good. So, yeah, wow, we should. And you know the history of this, as does the council. And you're asking your folks to do more work. So thus they're entitled to more pay. And also, I don't know how many part-time librarians there are in the library district, but I don't believe it's very many, even in Helix and towns like that. And you also have to look at employee retention. Are we going to retain these employees? Are they going to go find a better job somewhere? Which I'm pretty sure they all could probably do for more pay. And the last thing to think about in an administrative role in a management position, any manager worth his or hers grain of salt, or whatever you want to call it, worth whatever, is not going to come in to a pool and splash into it. They're not going to cannonball in here and start changing stuff. Hopefully. If they do, I suggest we get rid of them. They should just slip into the pool and get to feel the water and how it works. And that takes a while to do. And if you want to retain these employees and keep them here and allow for a successful transition and administrator position, should really consider what it's going to take to retain these folks. Because if they all bail at the change of leadership, then you're not, the leader's going to bail too. So just some thoughts. Yeah, it'd be nice to let them get in here and wait 6 months to a year to do anything. But the employees deserve probably better than that. And with their additional duties, which we've always talked about, getting Dave an assistant, that kind of meets that goal of taking some of the load off of the city administrator position by giving those duties to these other employees. And yes, they should be paid for that.
I just wanted to say, that if, for me, for a new administrator to come in, I definitely don't want that job, but, I feel like having clear-cut roles that your employees are doing makes more sense than coming in and having her role say that she is your assistant, but she's at the golf course 100% of the time, or Meta has certain things that she helps out with, but it's not in her job description. We have this letter from Anna asking or telling us how it would be beneficial for her to be full-time, and also kind of echoes what Dave has like in her job description, what she already does for. Anyways, I just think that having clear direction and clear, like, this is what they do, these are the positions, these are their roles for a new administrator would make it so much easier to come in instead of having it is like how it is. And it doesn't make sense to me to not reclass them. Just like I said, they're already, it just seems straightforward to me and easier for our new administrator. So that's just my opinion.
Sorry, I have to disagree again. I think this is not the scheduled time for annual reviews or raises. We are losing Dave in a couple months, and this should be start with a new manager, the new assistant administrator that comes in, and they should do this. And I do not want to lose Anna, and I do not want to lose Tanya, and I do not want to lose Ameta. But I think this is a poor decision to do it right now, and it should come when we have our annual reviews for raises. And this is nothing against them. This is just a very scary time when we take a new administrator and we don't know the cost of it yet. We don't know what we're going to pay him. We don't know the budget, and they will have different needs and maybe more. And maybe when we do review them in the scheduled time, they will even make a bigger raise than they did, especially if we have the money and their roles are increased. Because, for instance, I think there's a lot of stuff that Tanya could do, like be city recorder, and she would get an increase for that. That would be my opinion, and that's something probably that a new administrator would like to do. But I think that should be done at the annual review time for any reviews or raises, because they will be the ones dealing with it very soon.
I feel like you all have a lot of questions, so is this a topic we can like discuss further, like?
We kick
Really
it,
soon?
how many cans are we gonna kick down the road?
I don't know.
I mean,
but-
everybody's
because I feel like-
overwhelmed now, so if we keep procrastinating, I don't know.
No, I
You
don't-
guys have all gone
I-
to school, right? So when you don't do your homework, the homework keeps piling up.
Yeah.
And then eventually it gets to a point where you don't know which homework to do anymore, and you have to drop out of school. If we don't deal with the issues now, then we are gonna have more issues next month and more issues the month after that. And it'll become so overwhelming, you won't even know which direction is up. We are elected to make decisions. Sometimes they're harder than others. We cannot continue to say we need more time, we need this, we need that. This is my opinion. It's getting overwhelming because we're allowing it to get overwhelming. We keep adding to the pile. The pile is becoming unmanageable. So let's decide something for a change and move forward.
I feel like we could all, well, this is my assumption, that we all agree that we need, to redefine their roles, because, when we did create Tom's position, it was, okay, we might change it to depend on how it goes, and it's clear that she needs to be up there, right?
Well, legally, if you're asking them to do work, it has to be in their job description.
Yeah.
You can't
So
have
I'm
them
saying
doing a
is,
bunch of
like,
work
I
that's
feel
not in their
like
job
on
description.
be classified appropriately, I feel like the way they're classified, that, those, I feel like those are great. For me, the budget wise, I don't know, I know we're okay now, but when the grant goes away, then I would hate to like say, oh, we can't afford you now, so now let's put back the hours.
None of the wages are off grants. There's no grants paying for anybody, ever. Only contractors.
Okay,
But I was,
so I just, that's what I'm doing is like, hey, can we look at this more in depth soon, so we can kind of just really go through that, just so we all are on the same page. How we can, like, maintain it and not come back like 2 years later saying, hey,
Well,
we don't have.
it is right there. Dave, do you want to explain it better? So
I'm
everybody.
not sure what I can explain. I mean, contingency
So-
covers that.
So when you're changing, let's go back to me, you're changing job descriptions, right? So
To
they're
some
more-
degree,
So they're more in line with their current
Yeah, so I
job,
think we get that.
job functions. Okay, so then the only expense you're adding is Anna's,
And,
health.
benefits.
health benefits and the full-time, correct.
Okay,
And that would come out of the contingencies and general funds.
and that's coming from the general fund. which we
And sewer,
had
water.
Set aside for situations such as this.
Correct.
So it's not going to take any money out of the budget
Correct.
to do that. And that's the only additional pay that anybody's gonna get, correct?
Well, the reclass would put them in a new role, but if you didn't want them to go into effect until the end of the year when her annual review is tomorrow, but for the other two, it would be one on their anniversaries when they were hired. So March for one and June for the other one. I think I'd have to go back and look at their personnel file. So that would be when those could go into effect. But I did the budget exercise based on November 1st, to put them at the base rate just to see what it looked like. And it balanced out with the current budget without changing it.
how about the purse that goes with the?
They're already first. Nothing changes. Hers is already on there full-time, wouldn't change anything for Hannah.
Well, the difference that I see for her would be 9,360.
Would be for,
Okay.
that's for salary. That would be go from part-time to full-time. Right.
Raise it up, so that's, who gets a raise that pay? My question.
That would be a refund. That would go for the full-time. That would,
Well, I know, but.
it would just be working more hours.
To see it as but it's awful, but who gets that much money?
She's going from like 4 times.
I understand, but. it's
She's not getting anything more per
money.
hour. Getting any more, wouldn't get any more per hour.
Raise. That's per hour. So if you work 30 hours, you make so much money.
Still, it's.
But if you work 40 hours, you're still making the same amount of money per hour worked. So your labor's still worth the same, whether you work 20 hours or 40 hours, still worth the same per hour.
You're still giving a raise. You put extra money, you increased it from what we already gave them a raise. 25, 26, and we already gave them a raise. And now we're giving them another raise. Regardless of what you say, it's an extra 20,000 out of the fund to pay. We're giving them a raise. So that's why it should be done at the annual time.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just,
But let's be clear, it's a raise.
more hours, but that's fine.
So-
I can see it as like, I guess like the classic for its position now.
Correct. That's correct.
So I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to not approve position reclass, but wait till next budget meeting in May, June 2026 to evaluate positions and payroll.
Maybe.
No, that's when we do the budget. That's what we do every year. So it's in 6 months.
Okay, guys, hang on. Maria's got a second. You can always vote no if you don't like the motion. Okay. So we have a motion on the floor to say no to the position reclass and go till the change in budget in June. Tammy made the motion. Maria seconded it. Maria, your vote.
Yes.
Richard, your vote.
No.
Berlin, your vote.
No.
Jesse, your vote. Janie, your vote.
Yes.
Tammy, your vote.
Yes.
We have a tie. My vote is no. Motion fails. Okay, we want to make a different motion? Or do you want to continue discussion?
About as much. I'll give you guys enough time to go over.
I do, but let's
I'll make a motion to. What am I gonna say? Revote November for the reclass.
So you vote, so you make a motion to disapprove the reclass with a review in
Or-
November.
Or is it a better way to table it until?
I don't know. I'm not a part of the parliamentarian in the, I don't know if I want to table it. Do we? Is that,
Oh, 'cause they've been bringing-
can I refer to my parliamentarian in the room? Michael, would it be better to table it?
I'm a parliamentarian.
Yes, you are.
Agree.
Thank you. Do we need a motion to bring it off the table at the next meeting then?
Not if you're saying it's, not if it's gonna be on the meeting, so it'll be already on the agenda.
Did you catch that?
Take a motion.
Jesse made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so Jesse made a motion to table the approval of position reclass till next council meeting. Tammy seconded that. Tammy, your vote.
Yes.
Berlin, your vote.
No.
Janie, your vote. Richard, your vote.
No.
Jesse, your vote. Maria, your vote.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 4-2. We will have it on the agenda for next month. Okay, now we're at 13.5, the hiring process. Dave, you're still up.
Just a second, I'm trying to catch up with it.
Oh, that's fine. Take your time. Do you want to take like a 5-minute break so people need to go potty or something?
Yes.
Okay, let's take a 5-minute break. We will return.
Oh, it's the deal. Okay. I got pictures, we have pictures of the other. Yep, they're ready. Oh. The truck too. Oh, there's somebody took a picture of him while he was parking. Oh, really? I have that on my computer. Send it to you. That sent it to me that day. Forgot to give it to you. So please fix it. Yeah, they don't.
Be used by law. Now, so it can't be used. General under, replace. Be interest. So.
Right, nobody can.
Thank you all. So we'll bring the meeting back to order. Thank you. Okay, so now we are on to 13.5, the hiring process. So Dave, you're up on the hiring process.
Well, for a few minutes, but I got a few minutes to change. So, standard hiring practices for the city has always been to put out the application, put out advertisement, minimum of 7 days, which we did. I sent out before I did that, I sent out the job description, which is the criteria used for the position, to all of you, and I only got one feedback from one counselor to add the mission, vision, and count and goals, which should have been in there in the first place. It was an incredibly good thing that she did, and I appreciated that very much, and I incorporated that in there. I sent out the advertisement on Indeed, at League of Oregon Cities, posted in different towns. We got back a pretty good pool of applicants. Those applicants, we can't discuss that in a public meeting. Those are confidential. Those applications are on site. using the criteria, sent all the applications to all of you. I didn't hear back from very many folks other than a few comments about only hiring Echo people or hiring local. From a couple of counselors, I heard back, a couple of questions about where the other applications were, but they were all in there. And then using the criteria for position description, I didn't hear anything back from anybody. The mayor and I met, kind of went through the applications based on using the position description as a criteria, and kind of laid them out based on that, and then sent that back out to the council based on that recommendation. And then I thought I was supposed to start setting up interviews based on that criteria. It's coming to find out doesn't sound like that's what the council wants. So we do have some interviewees scheduled for next Monday, but if that wants to be changed, I suppose that's what you have that choice to do that. But again, the criteria was based on only how the applications stacked up against the criteria for the job description. No other criteria was suggested. There was never any time from any council, nor is it legal to discriminate against by saying you can only hire from Echo or from local. You have to take the most qualified candidate by state law. So if the council wants to do that, I want no part of that. That is not legal at all. So that would be awesome if everybody from Echo and from Stanfield would apply. There's only a few handful of folks and so that doesn't make any sense to me. So legally, I don't see that that's a legal criteria, but again, council, I've gotten multiple feedback that that's what's wanted. So I'm kind of curious how we legally do that. So I'm done. So I'll turn it over to you guys.
So before we go any further, I would like to ask the council if they have any close friends or relatives that have applied to the position.
I do.
Maria, okay. Anybody else? Okay. Because of that, Maria, you probably should consider recusing yourself from this.
No, she's only is candidate for discussing her son.
No, because she could vote no against the other candidates and thus have her son.
No, I think we better check that, because I don't think so. I think it's only if it's a financial, or if she has to step out if he interviews, and she has to step out if it's a pay raise or it's money, but no, she can interview the other candidates. And so she won't be able to pick him. She can only pick out of the other ones.
But if she votes no to all the other ones.
So the
Well,
process.
she will have to pick.
So I would just say that the state administrative services, and I'm sure I'm gonna get Googled by people in the room, will look up state hiring practices. You're gonna be part of it, you have to be part of the whole thing and not part of it. You can't pick and choose, so you can be part of it. So you can make the decision you want him, but I worked for the state for 29 years and that would never be allowed. The Department of Administrative Services sets the hiring standards for the state, and agencies like cities can modify those to some degree, but you gotta follow state law. So it's not personal, it's just.
Well, we did that last time. We did that with people all the time that were here that had family members or what, they only.
Since when?
When Diane was here.
Well, that legal, I can't tell you that's not legal under the DAS. I wouldn't.
So can you show us that law too?
You can go look it up. I printed off DAS stuff right here today, and you can go look up the different yourself under this DAS hiring practices. Is that you can't pick and choose who's going to interview.
Oh, just tell me what
The
it is.
perception would be good.
Department of Administrative Services, DAS, State of Oregon, hiring practices. Go look it up. There's a general thing for every agency. It's all general. There's lots and lots of pages and lots of chapters, hundreds of them.
Okay, so I did send an email on the October the 10th, and so did I send it today regarding seeing if we can not have the wait for those.
Right, till you get back from vacation in
Yes.
November. Yes, I got that email and I responded to it.
Yes, you did, and then here where you're saying that that we need to address new things for the agenda. Why couldn't that have been put on the agenda?
The hiring process is on the agenda.
Okay, well, taking, wow, all right.
Today.
Yes, earlier today it was added before the,
It was gonna be discussed in the admin
Mhm.
part of my deal, but that's fine. It's on.
So I would appreciate if we're gonna talk about the hiring, given that, Dave's stepping down, I would like to think it's more appropriate that we would have a work session with the city council. There's no rush. Slow down, have a work session, and we go over all the interviews, and we pick 10 out of those, the city council, and then we interview, the city council interviews those 10.
did you not get the email with all the applications and had a chance to?
It was very quick. He gave us like 1 day or 2
He gave
days.
you over a week.
And I was in the hospital with my daughter.
I had 2 days to look over them.
You didn't look over my, let's not have a war because you didn't look over my executive session for 2 days. We're rushing. We need to slow down. And I don't think it's appropriate that this is our administrator and you have picked 5 out of it. We should pick it. We're the city council. We're the ones, yeah, he's picked 5 to interview. Oh, I thought it said 5.
I picked, he gave it to
Okay,
me.
we picked 9. I would just like to,
Best, he agreed. We sent them to you.
but that's it. Well, do we have a city council or do we have a Chad and a Dave?
No, it sounds like we have a Tammy.
We don't have a city council.
No,
No.
we have a Tammy. Who talks over everybody.
Am I asking you, am I asking for me just to look these over? I'm asking for everybody to look it over.
You should be speaking for yourself.
Okay,
Well, I think we should look through them, because there's some people that are, I think they're qualified, they could do this job too, if we give them a chance to explain themselves.
So what criteria are you using? The only legal criteria that I use is the job description. You can't pick and choose, well, I think, I feel, that's what I'm talking.
Sometimes when we let other people speak when they're being interviewed, we can ask them more questions of the capacity of the things that they can do. And
I agree with you. But if you have to set a criteria as to what, if you have 35, I think you have 30 some odd applications, of those, only a handful of them actually met a criteria where you could check a box and say that, yep, they have all these criteria, that's it, and then a bunch of them may or may not. I mean, it depends on how you, it's just pretty black and white, really.
Some of them?
No, if you want to interview them all, that's your
I
decision.
know it's gonna take us forever to do these people.
No, I'm not arguing that at all. I was trying to.
Please, and we can just pick the 10 that you want and then go on down until, it doesn't take that
But
long.
what I find interesting is,
If it doesn't take that long, then you have the opportunity to look at all of them.
Well, yes, I did, but the ones that I thought that they could be interviewed were not picked. I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about other people.
And did you send that list today?
No, because I assumed that he was going to allow, I thought we all were.
He put
going
a
to
date
pick
on
up.
there to respond by. And then everybody was supposed to respond.
2 days later.
I'm sure Tammy, but I'm not gonna sit here and debate with you about it.
That's pretty short. Well, maybe I was out at the hospital, so it could have been a little bit longer.
Again, I don't want any part of it. So if you guys wanna handle it, you need to hire somebody to do it. That's what I
I'm
recommend.
sorry you're going on vacation.
No, it's not that, but
But
what
we
I
need
feel
to
is like,
interview people so they have overlap with Dave. We cannot have somebody come in and run this city with all the capital projects we have going on without learning the position, where things are, what to do, what the people's jobs role is, how things work, all of that. Coordinating with Public Works, coordinating with the police, coordinating with Stanfield, coordinating with all the things we do, with only having a week or 2 of overlap. In this type of situation, you've got to have a month or 2 at the minimum to set the next person up for success. And they're watching tonight. The applicants are watching tonight. They are reading the minutes of this council. And they want to come to work
I
for
was
someone that is going to treat
the
them.
ones that he did were the final ones.
He didn't pick them. It was him and I, and we sent those out as suggestions. Those were not picks, those were suggestions.
Good, then we can do a work session and we can go pick our own.
We can't decide anything in a work session.
Based on, you got the criteria, Tammy, you just can't.
You know what, Dave, there is a protocol, but there is also that we are a small city. So you have to have the people that have a small city base too. So, and then in all those applicants,
Fair.
there are stuff that's wrong too, that we wouldn't want to have them. And maybe you saw everything that was wrong and everything that was right, but
It wasn't
maybe,
wrong and right, Tammy. I don't
maybe,
look at
but you
applications that
picked,
way.
you picked.
I based on criteria only. That's the only way to do it. That's the only way to do it.
I get.
Not
you guys are
personal, like I'm being accused.
Oh, no, you're not being
Then,
accused.
hey,
Oh, yes, I
guys,
am. but I'm
stop.
done.
So I just want to say that as the city council, yes, we make decisions and all of that. But I also feel like some of the stuff we're talking about is like micromanaging
Absolutely.
Dave. So let him do his job. He narrowed it down. There was a lot of applicants that met the criteria, that were great candidates. And Chad and him reached out to those people. We set interviews. We need to keep moving forward. I won't be here either for the interviews. But I'm going to call in for them, but, that's not my point. My point is we need to keep moving forward, and micromanaging everything and having a work session about everything just slows everything down. And I just feel like we just need to stop wasting time. But that's just, and we need to get this process going just because Dave is done in like 2 months. And the person does need to learn their role. And so that's my opinion.
They need some training. Everybody needs somebody to train.
Yeah.
And Tanya, I don't think is up to that capacity, nor is it in her job description.
So we had some concerns from the audience today, and he said that the member of leadership that is leaving doesn't usually do the hiring. That's a norm.
Not hiring.
No, but you're picking the
I have something else
members.
to say about that.
No, he's not.
It depends on the business. My husband worked for Lamb Weston. He was interviewed and picked by the person that was resigning. And then when he was leaving Lamb Weston, he was involved in that as well. So it depends on the business being run. I know everyone does it different, but Lamb Weston's a large company and he was in a management role, and that's what he did. in
I have
John
no
Ross.
authority to do a.
I know, I'm just
No,
saying.
zero. I don't even know where this is coming.
So I'm not saying Dave's handpicking this person.
No.
But we are ultimately making that decision, but it depends on the company, is what I'm saying. That it's not always the way that was brought up earlier, or the question that was brought up earlier.
Richard, you have the floor.
If we, interview, say, 5, and, we don't like them, we then ask another 5,
Yes, you can. You have about 30
so
others.
we haven't eliminated anybody. So I don't see what the problem is. Let's interview 5, and if we've got a good one in there, let's hire them.
Agreed. We have not sent a letter or made a phone call that, to my knowledge, to any of the applicants telling them they have not been chosen.
That's correct.
So everybody-
There's been an email that went out to one that said didn't make the first round of interviews, but they haven't been declined.
Correct. So they still are on the table
That's
to be
correct.
considered.
We're all gonna come at this with different angles and have our own opinions. I just thinking about so much, mostly last night, today. We all have to acknowledge our biases and put them to the side. And for me, what my ultimate decision this morning really was, we have to go by our criteria that is our job application that for the position. Cause it's gonna be so emotional anyways, and people wanna do a good job, so we can't just say echo only. Cause first, yeah, I was thinking that way too, but now it's like, you just can't. And we have such a small population, you can't always just say from that time only. So I think we just interview the people that meet the criteria, and we go from there. And sure, maybe we like someone else, but maybe we also want to interview 5 more after we like that one person. We're not saying no to them, we're not saying yes, but we could also add as we go.
Certainly.
So that settles it, but I'm going to say that I think that the council people should have went through all the interviews and a workshop together, and I feel this is very shaky ground that we are told which 5 we were gonna interview from the mayor. Because you didn't have any opinion, but from the mayor to tell us the only 5 that we can interview on. This is very shaky ground because this is a councilman's decision, not just a mayor decision.
You were sent suggestions, they were not the ones that we had.
This is very shaky. This is very shaky.
Thank you.
The councilman should be able to, we should be able to look at and narrow that down. That is our job as councilmen.
Okay, if you see somebody in that stack, you still have
So
that
you
email that
picked
you'd
up.
like to have
You picked
interviewed,
those
then
five.
you should send that to Dave.
We have
So
4 more slots available on Monday, so.
So, yep. So
For
if you
8
guys
hours
see
of
anybody in there that you would like to interview, send that to Dave.
Based on the criteria, right?
You have it all.
We have to keep the same
And
criteria,
base it on all these things have to be based on criteria,
which is the job description.
which is the
There
job.
was no other
description.
criteria
And
set.
do the job. The first round is looking at the paperwork. When you apply for any job, you put down your qualifications towards that position so that you can get that job. And that's when people look at that and they go, oh, they look like they're qualified. This one looks like they're qualified. This one doesn't look like they're qualified. I'm gonna interview this one. And if this one doesn't work out, then maybe we interview this one down the road. These people may not even take this job. They may not. But we don't know that. So if we interview 5, if we interview 10, and we find a good candidate, we offer them a position, and they take it, great. We offer them a position and they decline it, then it's back to the drawing board. We have a lot more applicants and we'd still accept more applications because I don't know of any deadline that was placed on that.
No deadline.
So I guess what I'm hearing is we just want to continue with the interviews on Monday.
That's not what you're hearing from me.
Okay, but am I hearing that from everybody else?
And
I
that's,
say no.
and that's with 2 open slots that
We have 4 more open slots right now that, more interviews that we could add on Monday.
So between now and next Monday,
We can add.
the, so can
You have to give them notice to get
they want,
The travel.
feel like they have great administrative abilities. Not because they're heroes.
Say that we interview. We'll just see how Monday goes. I just feel like we're running out of time to hire and that we should just get these interviews done. And then if we're not happy with who we interviewed, we add another day of interviews.
So we'll move on. All right, Dave, administrative report.
Put the financials out there, sent them to an email, you have them on table, and that's all I have.
It went this direction. You guys have the financials over there?
Yes.
We'll get them around this side.
There's some stuff to read.
Oh, you were gonna read.
No,
this, right?
I don't want to read it. You're the mayor.
Okay, is that it for administrative report? Anybody have anything else for Dave? Okay, public comment. At this time, we can comment on anything you'd like. Tammy has handed me some letters that, some folks would like to have read, so we'll add those into the public comment time.
I have not read those letters and to look at.
I'll catch you after the letters, or maybe in between so I can take a break.
Yeah. But you're on our website to read, I saw that.
Okay, so this one is to the city council. And it's signed by Jerry Fife. I would like this read as my testimony, please. So is this testimony or is it?
The testimony is the way I read it, that's for the hearing.
This is for-
That's what it looked like to me, that's why I didn't
This has
understand.
goal 7, policy 4,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
this
all.
is land use.
Land use.
To statement to the Echo City Council by Gina Sather.
The city recorder should be getting copies of these things and I'm not. So just for the record, under the law, the city recorder is supposed to be getting these letters. I got Jerry Pipes, but I didn't get anything else. All the stuff that Gina sends you guys, I don't get. I have to get it from one
Yeah,
of
I
you.
got it on my city council.
This is.
Yeah, that doesn't mean I get them.
Can you find what you-
It was just this one here, and I put this was her stuff from, I don't know, it says, I didn't know. On my council thing.
This one doesn't have to be read as well, so it looks like I've spared you all from listening to me read letters. But if you find something that where it requested to be read, then certainly. So at this point, while Tammy's looking for that, you in the back, you're up. Well, come on up to the podium and you have to give us your name and your address and all that happy stuff. You're not getting off the hook that easy.
That's okay, I'm pretty loud. Jamie Massario, I live at 213 West Main Street. I want to propose that we put together, I don't know if it's the art, but those round concrete planters, they look awful. So I would love for somebody, like if we could do like adopt a planter and it would be a year
Can I
long.
ask you a question?
Sure.
So our art committee, would you like to join the art?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so then at the next council meeting, we will add you to that,
Okay.
and you can help me out, because I need help.
Yeah, so what I would like to happen though is like, people could adopt one of those and they would be responsible for keeping it clean. And they could also do, you know, obviously art in there. It would be great to do like a little plaque. So there's several different ideas. Obviously it has to meet a criteria that it couldn't be, you know, obscene or whatnot. It couldn't end up with like a bunch of trash in it. So it would have to, you know, go through approval process, but I think it would help out the city, you know, keeping it nice and tidy, and it does have water so people could plant. And I think it's great for families to take some ownership.
Cool, thank you. Thank you.
She did come see me the other day too, talk about that. I thought it was a pretty cool idea. And I told her that there was art money available for those as well that were
There
donated,
is.
so
So you should
she's
get-
aware of that.
If you could get her a volunteer form.
Yeah.
Then that would be awesome. And we can add that onto remind me of that next meeting to have the council vote on that.
Good.
Yes, ma'am. Come on up.
Hello, Katie Marvell, 330 West Halsted. First, I just like to thank you guys for coming out on the water. I'm glad I actually showed up and didn't have something going on tonight, which seems to be the norm for my life lately. So thank you, that was really insightful. Also, try to be nice about this. This constant bickering and the pettiness and sarcastic comments going back and forth, I think needs to be resolved, because us hearing this and it going in the meetings and everything that's going on for the last couple of months, as you all know, I'm very outspoken and not afraid to stand up and, you know, put my foot down, or however you want to phrase it. You guys have big decisions coming up, and we have a city manager or a city administrator that we have to replace, and this going back and forth and not being on point. We have 2.5-ish months. As somebody who works in upper management, somebody that came in underneath a manager who didn't have their stuff together, it was really hard to come in. Not having a team that knew their responsibilities, even though there was job descriptions, but it wasn't clear cut and things had changed, I think is super important. So I encourage all the council members to do their due diligence, look at the budget that was proposed, see where the raises can come in, and make sure that the job descriptions are clear cut for the next person. I think it's also important to come together and make sound decisions, not on our emotions, but on what's going to be best for this city and not what we think is going to be us. That's why we have job descriptions. That's why it's there. Because I think it's very important, as it was stated before, that they come in with the projects and learn everything that's going on, especially as Dave's leaving. It's not fun when you have to, as somebody who's experienced this, I did come in, I had 3 months with my predecessor. He did not teach me anything because he didn't know his own job. He only did half of it. So I'm just saying, as somebody who's coming in and been that person, it's a wild ride, and we don't want to have to be scraping, clawing our way to the top and having our new city administrator sinking before he even or she gets started. So I'm just encourage everybody to look past all the differences, look past all of everything that's gone on in the last couple of months so that we can continue moving forward and making good progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
Quiet. Do I need to say go ahead again?
I think you already have, so.
I think I already have.
You're good.
So to answer Maria's question, this is out of the Guide for Public Officials. It's on conflict of interest, and it's on page 7. And I'll happily give this to you. But it said public officials must always comply with state law when participating in official actions. That could result in personal financial benefits, and also when participating in official actions that could result in financial benefits for a relative or a household member. Public officials should also know there may be limits and restrictions on gifts of the relatives, blah, blah, blah. There are provisions under ORS Chapter 244 that restrict or prohibit a public official from using or attempting to use official actions of the position held to benefit a relative or a household member. So that's why Chad is saying that you need to recuse yourself. And I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just going to read what this says.
I'm not, what about the other candidates? Maybe, there'll be somebody that I think is a good candidate. And
So, yeah, we can talk, let's talk about it after. She's got her comment, so then we can discuss it after.
Yeah, I decided it was really important
Hold that thought.
that this be brought forward. This is what it's considered, one of the things considered a conflict of interest. And again, I appreciate Katie's remarks. And frankly, I'm sitting here looking at several of you and thinking you're doing nothing. You become a do-nothing council. And I feel like there are disruptive measures being taken so that you don't get things done. And it's starting to get pretty frustrating for all of us. I hate to see Dave, who's done an excellent job, be treated in such a disrespectful manner. And I hope, again, as Katie said, that you all put your things aside and you work for the city, not for your own personal interest.
Thank you, Phyllis. Any other public comment at this time? Yes, Vicente?
This is more for, is it right if I like address Anderson Perry, you guys, or is it just for the
Go ahead. Yeah.
I just had a couple of questions for you guys.
If you have questions for them, save them for after the meeting. But if you want to address the council about something
Okay.
that's related to Anderson Perry,
Yeah,
or feel free.
okay, yeah, so in their, what they were talking about earlier, the presentation, or, they had mentioned that we're about at 90% waste, close to similar for the hydraulic, fluid as well. They mentioned that it was, more so the businesses that were creating, this waste, and, I guess sitting over there, I was trying to like compartmentalize, like, there's only so many businesses in Echo, right? We have the 2 wineries, the bistro, H&P Cafe, the golf course, and is the school considered a part of the business realm as well? Because that's, there's a lot
I
of,
believe it is.
and so,
They pay a higher rate because they're such a big.
gotcha. And so my kind of question is with that, like how is, saying that it's more the businesses that are creating the waste, like how is that, I guess, how is that quantified or calculated?
You can ask, you can ask them before,
yeah.
they volunteered to sit through all this, whether they like it or not, to answer questions.
That's why we pay them, right?
Well, I think they're volunteering their time tonight.
Gotcha.
So even a bigger thank you for them being here when they should be with their family and charging us, like double time and a half to be here tonight, and they've chosen not to do that. So,
Oh, we sure
we
sell
owe
food
them
basket.
way more than you guys think.
So yeah, that was just kind of like my thing was, just kind of curious on like how those were calculated and stuff. If it was like some sort of like per flush or something, or whatnot. And then they kind of roughly estimated about like 250 like gallons per day for each household, give or take and stuff. And I guess my question is that just like the household, or is that including, would that be including like the lawn, you know, people's like lawns and stuff and irrigation for their lawns? So that's kind of, just trying to see like, would that number increase? So when we say like the household, are we talking about like just the house, or are we talking about?
Yeah. Before they leave, if I can be a part of that, I'd love to listen. Things just to think. Hey, any other public comment? Yes, sir. Michael Duffy, we know who you are. You don't have to say it again, but if you'd like, we'd let you.
Hurry. Hey, well, I don't know where to start. I know.
I'll start my.
The meeting, that's too long of a meeting. Those that are listening, the applicants are all listening right now?
A few of them are, yes.
Boy, maybe those guys. I don't know if anybody noticed. Mr. Duke can hear me now. And you can hear Tammy the whole meeting. You figured that out? And similarly, Maria, Berlin was a little louder. I don't know how it worked out this way, but this mic, that loud.
Turn it down. And you're still loud.
I have actually trained a voice. Had a moment to chat with Brad. Scott. There's nothing keeping this council from saying, hey, you know what? We're close to our capacity. Maybe we should look at like design practices and just put in another column anyway. I said there's nothing keeping this council from doing that except for the dysfunction of this young lady. Oh my goodness. I'm kind of waiting to see what happens in February and March. When through transparency and fulfillment of time, we get to see what the real agenda is here. There's two words I have for you. To be clear, we didn't always get along. Yeah, he's a big guy, though I wasn't gonna mess with him. He didn't always have time for me. More important things to do. And overall, I kind of reasoned that he picked pretty good priorities. I didn't like getting stiff now and then. I imagine it's happened to some of you. And for the record, I offer full forgiveness. Not that you asked for it, and you don't need it, but you have it, partner. Same with you, Chad. I know this whole, like, what's the procedure thing? Seems to be cumbersome for some people. And Chad's had a heck of a learning curve. Oh, yeah. And there's still one happening. But those rules are there for a reason. And if you read the first part of Robert's Rules of Order, it says, so that everybody has an equal shot to make it comment. And hopefully, they'll do something constructive with it, something meaningful. I hope that doesn't seem to be cumbersome. Thank you all for your service. There's honor in fulfilling your term. When you quit, you get two things. One, you get it all behind you. Not talking about staff, I'm talking about volunteers. And two, doesn't really matter, does it? The other thing you get doesn't matter, not what anything you did, not what you learned, potential for the future, doesn't matter. There is honor in fulfilling your term. If you chose to do that, by the way, I don't envy you. This lady right here, I don't know who that lady is. But this dysfunctional feeling of life with words I'll use outside. My goodness. There's nothing else. No. I wish you well.
Thank you, Michael. Any other public comment? All right, then Richard, you're up.
I move adjourned.
Very well.
Yes.